I think I need to go up just one more. All right, welcome in, you guys. We are going to be doing a prepping room reset. Because I've made so many videos in the last week and a half that are all going to be published day after day after day, we've got a lot to reset in here. Because once again, this is a classroom and it gets really full really, really quickly and it gets messy. It gets messy. I see so many different things that are a complete disaster. Hi, Maisie. Hello, C-Sands. Hi, LKM. We're going to be doing a prep room reset. It is a disaster in here. And so this is something that I encourage everyone to do, is to take an hour to 2 hours a week and then do a reset. So today I'm going to be resetting with you guys, where you guys can learn kind of what I do. So when I'm filming, things end up everywhere. And I did go on a little bit of a tyrant, pulling out bins. So I need to move those. Oh, you were just watching the sugar brick video? I really don't know where the idea of a brick came. My grandparents always talked about clumping. Clumping was a big factor. But bricks, and it's on lots of videos. That co-hosted video with Canadian Prepper. The same person who made the comment left a comment there and was like, how could you bring her on? She's making salt bricks and sugar bricks. And I'm like, where are we getting the brick motion? We shouldn't get this worked up over an oxygen absorber. They're really not that powerful. You just watched that video too? You just watched the sugar bricks? Hi from West Virginia. I'm so glad you guys are in here. All right, I am going to load up this bin because I am feeling very overwhelmed. I'm going to lower you guys down so you guys can kind of see what's going on. And so you guys know exactly everything I got to clean up in here. I got sugar I got to sweep up. I am not worried about mylar. Mylar is one of the easiest things you can do when you're prepping. I probably should be stacking these up a little bit better so I can fit more in. I had to dig for some of these. Really dig. That one's the one I opened. We're not going to put her back in there. And then I, of course, had to sit in the mylar tub like a bathtub because why not? This thing is so heavy. I don't even know if I can move it. And so now we have one of the bins is fully sealed and put away. I agree. Who in here has actually made that mistake? Because I will not lie, I am not the best content creator. I don't set up a studio space. I start doing something and I'm going to be very honest. My husband will be like, hey, maybe other people don't know how to do that. You should show it. And I'm like, okay, put up the camera. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going so fast. Sometimes I forget to slow down. Serena, thank you so much for the gift. That was so kind. Barry, you just watched the sugar brick video? I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you guys leave a comment on it and a thumbs up on there and smash those thumbs up. There's 35 or 38 of you guys in here. There's only 9 thumbs up. But yeah, we're all going to have moments. Now, in that video, because I was like, you know what? Let's debunk it. There's sugar all over my floor. So we've got to go clean this up because I don't like to work in a messy space. When I got a messy space, I feel like I'm not as productive. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I got soil over there. I spill stuff in this room all the time. I might need to bring the vacuum down for this, but I think we'll be okay. Ever seen sugar or salt turn into any form of pricks? There's moisture. That is the main cause. So with especially salt, because salt is a mineral, it is moisture. It's the same. Do I need help cleaning? Of course I need help cleaning. You want to get to work? I need all those totes right there moved. If you want to come pick those up, that I would greatly appreciate that. Went to Costco today, got a 25-pound bag of flour and 10-pound bag of oats. Let's go. I love that, Little Red. FAFO! That's my husband in here. Thank you so much, FAFO, for that gift. That was awesome. Thank you. But most of the time, it's like him. He'll like be like, you should film that. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. Why not? You don't have a husband. Well, FAFO, apparently I don't have a husband. Is that funny? Y'all, like, YouTube is very new to me, but I've been doing social media for a long time. How old am I? Old. Ooh, I look like I'm the husband. It's fine. We could get down with that. You think that that scares me? Or I can bully the bullies for you, Richard says. Thanks, business. Well, you don't know how to spell either, so. Hello, Superman. Welcome, welcome. So the thing with my ring is my ring spins. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So if I have my ring on, it spins, and sometimes it takes away from what I'm saying. So that's sometimes why I don't wear a ring. And I don't wear rings when I am working with tools. I don't wear rings when I'm doing gardening or canning or cooking. Just because it spins. I lost a lot of weight and I'm afraid I will lose it. And that would suck to mylar up a ring. Just to be fair. Oh, the trolls are heavy today. You finally caught me on a live, Anna. I am sorry. It is a very... Oh, no man, no ring. Got it. Okay. Can I be your troll? Go for it. Hey, the more you troll, the more it hits on that FYP page. So I'm fine with it. But this is what I do. So I'm pretty used to it. It would take a lot to like chisel it down. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. Anyways, so I'm going to get back to cleaning up everything that's in here because we do have things we got to move. And this one is very heavy. Go on there. Strong Eyes is like, the trolls can come to the barbecue. You guys got to be careful. Strong Eyes is in here and he's got a little bit more of the road scenario prepping style. So that's between you guys. Good job lifting with your back and not your legs. Why would I need to lift with my legs on this? Why? Why would I need to lift with my legs on that? There's like nothing in it. Calm yourself down. Canning butter. My grandma used to can butter. I've canned butter too. I don't even consider that a rebel can, but nowadays it's considered a rebel can. Richard goes, are we gonna eat trolls? I know it's a little intense in here. It just died down like 40 people, so it probably will chill a little bit more. I have a feeling it will. Hi, Kana. Welcome in. Welcome in. How do you can butter? I pressure can it. So you're melting it down essentially into the jars. And then I leave, I believe, a 1/4 inch. I want to say 1/4 to a 1/2 inch head space. I don't know off the top of my head because I have it in the recipe. Hold on. I'm going to sneeze. No. Is there any moderators in here? Yeah, I do have reading glasses in here. I don't like how YouTube makes the print really, really small. Jay, this person is just trolling really, really hard. So sadly, we are going to put him in timeout so that his mom can finish making his ramen noodles. And he'll come back on a different account probably here in a moment. Yeah, FAFO if you can. I just already muted him. Yeah, I agree, Karen. Oh, there's a lot of you guys that are a little obnoxious today. That's fine. Yeah, Jay, I'm not going to do that for you. Nice try, though. Maisie says, choose me. Maisie, you have mod powers. Welcome in, love. Oh, they are wild in here today. Yeah, FAFO. Oh, I don't know why it doesn't say that you're not a mod. You should be. There we go. Thanks, Agape. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's a little intense. You just found me and shocked at how many trolls. Well, I'm re-adding some more moderators in here. Maisie should be a moderator, but I think it's not showing. There we go. See, on TikTok, it's a lot easier because I have like 30 moderators. Yeah, there's always a lot. Okay, so Mountain, maybe I should switch it. Should we switch it to vertical? Let's see. No. I might have to end the live and then switch it. You can potatoes with your skin on. So did my grandma sometimes. I personally don't, but everybody has their own preference. I might end this live and swap us the other direction to slow down the troll activity. We got a lot of trolls. What do you guys think? You guys let me know down in the chat. I'll soak them. I don't cook them first, but I'll soak them. So I've been buying it, Anna. That's a great conversation. I've been buying the freeze dried. I'm exploring the option. The only thing I'm worried about is So I'll buy like freeze-dried liver and organ meat. And I'm afraid if I run that in my freeze dryer, which is right over there, that it's going to make it smell. And there's just certain things what you do when you're freeze drying that the smell is just. And so I've been a little bit nervous about that. Serena, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate that. I do. Jeffrey, I do. It is Charmingly Frugal. Will get you 15% off of freeze dry wholesalers. I know. My husband is at work right now. So how many moderate? Ooh, I'm trying to think. Let me see if I can message some of them really quick. My other device is upstairs. So that I've grown myself. So I do believe a lot of American food is crappy. Like, I'm not going to pretend it isn't. $100. Yep, tree. Exactly. PSI and canning. I don't remember it offhand. I'll have to go in. So I have a notebook that has my grandma's recipes in it. And that's the one that I've used. But your PSI is going to be a little bit different depending on what area you're in. I'm in the Rocky Mountains, so I always crank my PSI is going to be up a little bit higher than your guys's because my elevation's a lot higher. Today is a wild one. Bro, great question right there. As a prepper, considering you might want to find a point where you can carry 50 to 60 pound load while essentially hiking cross country and setting up a camp every so often. So I was in the Army. I've done so many different ruck marches, and we actually ruck for fun in our family. I can carry. I can carry. I am only 5'3". I weigh 128 pounds, and I can carry. I also work out a lot, and I work out a lot with plate carriers on too, because I want to have that extra like muscle. Ooh. Have you ever considered looking into weight Yes. So my bags are set up a little bit different. Bro, that's like dead on. So weight distribution. My husband's bag and pack is set up way different than mine. But I haven't used any equipment. But for me, I always choose a bag that has a little bit more lower back support. And I'm kind of more specific, I think is the word I'm looking for. Because of the way my body is designed, like my old ruck, I still have my old ruck, guys. They have a frame system inside of it, and it can take off a lot of that lower back. But for like an everyday carry bag, I'm very particular about kind of how I want it to set on my lower back. But I've been looking at a few of those. Because even with my kids' bags, I design them a lot lighter just because of the fact of the weight on their back. Robin, yes. I don't know why I kept. No, you're totally good, Brawl. That was a really great question. I've been seeing a lot of different supports and skeleton support systems. There's a lot of technology out there. Butter shelf stable. I use it within 5 years. Most of my canning jars I will use within 5 years. Do you approach your prepping more as a community or more as a lone wolf? For a long time, a lot more as a lone wolf because we lived a distance away from my family. And my family does prep. Now, because my family is very close by, what's left of them that have not passed away. We approach it more as a community. If you get old and you never experience doomsday, would you consider it all waste? Well, most of my stuff got used up during the pandemic because my mom had an organ transplant and she was considered um, immunocompromised. So we did not go to the grocery store at all. So I used a lot of our stash just during then. And it wasn't considered a waste because I tried not to be wasteful. And if all else fails, let's say I get to 70 years old and I've never touched any of my preps, which would never happen anyways, because what you're seeing behind me is a rotational pantry. That's always going to be touched. But let's say I got to 70 years old and I never touched any of my preps. What would I do with that? Well, obviously I would be retired and I would use all my preps and then I would just have fun. I'd go on cruises, or even if I'm like 80, there's no bad question. Go ahead, Space. Yeah, so here's the thing. We don't prep for doomsday. The name is literally because news outlets gave me that name, and it was really funny. We prep for job loss, natural disasters. Not everybody. Oh, give him a mute. Thank you, Maisie. Not everybody is going to have the same idea of what SHTF is going to be for them as for somebody else. Somebody else would be, it could be a job loss. That could be the catastrophic event for somebody. And would you really want to waste something? And we have a lot of kids coming in here because they're bored that are shoving food into their mouth and it comes out the other end. Would you want to waste what you could use on your mortgage or on your bills on something that goes in and comes out another direction? Or would you rather just dabble back into your supplies? Yep, it's always better to be prepared and not need it than be prepared and then need it. Or not prepared and then need it. GG, welcome in, welcome in. Seems like a lot of work. So here's the thing. I personally think it's a lot of work to go to a grocery store. I know, weird. You're thinking about what, $3.40 something cents for a gallon of gas. You're going to drive there, right? So you've already blew $1.50. Gone. Then you're going to go in, and did you know grocery stores mess with temperatures to get you to shop more? How many of you guys know that? So when you go to Walmart and you notice you're warm in the stores, they actually crank their temperatures up because the heat makes you more vulnerable to impulse buys. Okay? At grocery stores, they like to crank the temperature down because when they crank the temperature down, you're a little bit cold and you might want to snack a little bit more. That impulsivity and that snacking and that hunger creeps up. So then you're more likely to buy things because of colors or displays or any of those little end caps, that kind of thing, where you honestly are not going to use it. Isn't that really crazy? How many of you guys know that grocery stores mess with their temperatures to increase purchases? So who's going to fall for that? It's like a casino, April. Very good, very good. But not a lot of people know that. So for me, I think it's a lot more beneficial that my children know where their food comes from. So when I'm growing and I'm preserving my own food, I don't want my kids to think, oh, I want peaches, I have to go to the store. I want them to go, I have a peach tree out back and we've been canning it our whole lives. And I know that it's good and it's not filled with all these pesticides and all this other junk. Now, do we have pesticides in our foods? Yeah, there can be. It isn't just about a convenience, it's the workers and the consumer. They have a lot of tricks. Anna says she works at a grocery store and they have a lot of tricks to get people to buy more. Yep. So, oh, you only go into the store 6 times a year? Okay, I'm a little jealous. You live in the mountains in Alaska? Nice. That's where my stepdad lives. And we lived in Alaska for 2 years. We only go to the grocery store like 2 times a month, max. Where I grew up, we only went once a month. So we always just prepared differently. Yep, the shopper mind tricks that they play on shoppers. Yes, they do. They play a lot of different tricks. I know, he's got the goals 6 times. That's perfect. Hurricane Ian, months without no power, light, prepared, actually saved us. Exactly. There you go, Juan. Day 4 with no power. And how are you doing, Pappy? Pappy's been prepping forever. He's been a big part of our community for years. How are you doing? Doesn't fresh stuff go bad? Yes, it does. It does. When it's not preserved. So it's really important that you learn how to preserve your own food so that it doesn't go bad. So this is carrots. Carrots, water, and salt. And then it's pressure canned. It is the exact same equivalent as this. Strong eyes. Thank you so much on the congrats for 10K. Yes, we hit 10,000 subscribers and it was awesome. It's essentially the same thing. But in the mind of a consumer, this silver can with a label on it, this sounds good. They're both pressure canned. They're both preserved at the peak of their nutrients, and it makes it shelf stable. You have 8 fig trees? That would be awesome. I'm a little jealous. I prefer to live more simple, and not everybody will agree with that. Oh, Kelly girl, it's a wild fiasco in here. I live solo. Oh, okay. I know what that ridge is. Helicopter in. Yeah, that is a rough ridge right there. Helicopter in. Extensive prepping over the last 11 years. Well, you are set up for gold right there. I'm a little jealous and a little envious right now. Oh, thanks, Barry. Yeah, we hit 10K, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago. I had been really busy with the Jace treasure hunt, so I wasn't able to celebrate as much as I normally would because I was beyond the moon on it. Thanks, my outdoors. What was that in my hands? It was carrots. So somebody said, doesn't fresh food go bad? And yes, if you do not know how to preserve your own food, it will essentially go bad. So I like to can mine. I also enjoy freeze drying mine. So then that way, I have fresh food that is preserved in a way that can be eaten at any time. You don't eat from cans. That's totally fine. You want to eat from a glass can? Like perfect apples off your apple tree with no sugar added? Why not? I like to ask these questions. I feel like sometimes people get really weirded out by it. I enjoy it because I can see. Like you can see all the beautifulness in there. Like how amazing is that? Years. So Carlos, I use the date that I can it. And I always try to use, so when I'm canning this kind of food, what you see behind me, I do every year. So there's always older ones that move forward, newer ones go in the back, and I am constantly canning, and you'll even see more jars over here. I'm constantly canning. But it can last up to 5 years. And then it will start to lose nutrients value. You know, the nutrition value will go down. This is a rotational. So this I actually don't even consider part of our stock. I know that seems really weird and a lot of people will be like, what? This is a rotational pantry. At any time, anything on here will come in and out. Little Red Hen, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate that. In the UK, they are extremely expensive, and it's really hard for you guys to get canning items. I have a lot of friends and a lot of followers from the UK, and I didn't realize it was that much of a struggle. How can you preserve eggs? I use my freeze dryer when I'm preserving eggs. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Do I have a go bag? Yes. So there's one over there. Right now, I'm actually repacking up my kids' ones from a video, and they have to be packed up. So today, I'm actually just reorganizing and re-cleaning up this room. Freeze dryer is on the list. I used to water glass eggs with my grandma. I grew up on water glass eggs. They work. They're amazing. My personal preference is a little different than others. Because I ate those growing up my entire life, I am not a fan of water glass eggs. They work and they're amazing and they're great. But because I ate them for like 30 years, I prefer to freeze dry mine. And then just to have chickens on rotation constantly. But it's not anything bad about it. Pickled eggs, oh, they're amazing. Amazing. You also knew about the grocery store temperatures and the item placement? Yeah. You dehydrate instead. That's a lot of people dehydrate. I only dehydrate herbs, and I've only owned my freeze dryer for almost a year. In 2 months, it will be a year, or next month should be 1 year. Cabin freezes during your absence. Yeah. Do you really think there's going to be a doomsday? Sorry, I just want to know. I'm new here. There could be. I don't ever say that nothing's ever going to happen because time and time again, we've been proven the opposite. Now, what a doomsday is to you would be totally different than what a doomsday is to me. What is a doomsday scenario for yourself? Because I'm going to tell you right now, my grandpa's doomsday theory was another plague. Mind you, he had already been hit by the Spanish flu. He was born in the early 1900s. His family had already gone. So that was a doomsday scenario. And then during the Cold War, a nuke was considered a doomsday scenario to him. A doomsday scenario to me might be very different than what it is to you. Oh, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to read the books on this. Probably scroll. Prepping for a recession is the top of your list. Yeah, that would be a big deal. Ooh, moderators. I'm going to pause the live really quick. I'm going to need help. We're probably going to need more mods in. All right. Yeah, I just sent an SOS. I don't dehydrate eggs. I only freeze dry, but some people do. I've never done it, so I just don't give advice on it. But I'm sure you could find somebody who could give you advice on it. Yep, 2005, you were a homeless teen. Never want to be there again. Exactly, anonymous. That is a great... So everybody's doomsday scenario is going to be completely different than another one. Everybody's doomsday. Good afternoon, South Florida. I know. I've SOS'd. Homestead's here. Maisie's here. They're working overtime. My husband's like trying his best. You just never want to be totally reliant on others. I agree with that. That's a great motivator. Yep, in a total collapse situation, farmers would be kings. Yep. I mean, think about it. Think about historically. Let's go back into the 16th century. Let's go back into the plagues, especially in the UK area. What happened? Kingdoms became very reliant on the farmers, and honestly, it could have totally toppled over what was considered the hierarchy. No, I haven't. I haven't heard. 11 days and it took 8 days to bring water trucks. Oh, wow. What caused that, Anna? Thank you so much, Homestead. You will miss meat more than any other food. Exactly. I agree with that. I'm going to go back to cleaning up the room just a bit. Because I was searching for that mylar bag and I would like to have things cleaned up. Where's Wendy? Oh, there she is. All right, Wendy, you're good. We haven't really needed any mods till today, apparently. Last snowstorm. The chat's moving so fast right now. Watched a video of medieval meals and awakening post SHTF. Can you make bread for grains? Yes, obviously. The comic book thing is not bad. I mean, you can look at a doomsday. Are you talking like a zombie apocalypse? Now that I like to say is the zombie apocalypse is like prepper. Do you get what I'm saying here? Like when we're talking about this, right? Like that's like, oh, I would like that. Now, we prefer not to, but I mean, I would possibly choose. Oh, little life of. Oh, I love that. Have you made milk powder from condensed milk? No. No, I have not. I have freeze-dried milk, but I have not made milk powder from it. Oh, you have firefighters from Utah here? That's awesome, Charles. But not awesome that there's fires, obviously. Anybody can do what I do. This is easy. This, I mean, I don't like to like talk it down, but I feel like this is probably the easiest thing to pick up and learn. And once you start picking up and learning that, especially mylar, I don't ever want people to feel Okay. Oh my gosh. I sprinted to get the iPad real quick. Oh, I agree, love. A lot of people believe that there is not a shortage. You have to look at the harvest this year. We were on a call. I know you guys kept calling. I was like, decline, decline. So I sprinted upstairs to go get it. But when you think about it, think about all the bad harvests that have happened. How many fields have not had more issues in the last few years than ever before? The only problem is all that has expiration dates. So let's debunk that for you. Okay, Chad, I'm going to debunk. So this is called a rotational pantry. A rotational pantry comes in and out on a regular basis. That's why I'm always growing and preserving my own food so that essentially I can have constant food that's fresh on hand. Now, up above, you're seeing freeze-dried food, and then I'm going to turn you and rotate you this way away from the rotation pantry, and that is freeze-dried food. Freeze-dried food has a 25-year shelf life, if not much, much longer. And then if you see in previous videos where I'm talking about mylar, those mylar bags have a 25-year shelf life. So honestly, it does not expire like that. Orange juice is, yep, thank you, Anonymous Prepper Channel. I appreciate you saying that. Orange juice is a prime example of bad harvest. It is. Is this your home? Are you guys all set up for EMPs? Yes, we do prepare it for EMPs. There's EMP preparedness everywhere. However, I do not take you through my entire home. This is my studio. It is a room. It's about 25 feet in length by 15 feet in width. This is my studio, and this is the only part that I actually show you guys and teach you guys how to prep. What kind of generators you want to talk about? I have a 7500, a 9500, and those are fuel ones. And then I have jackeries, and then I'm working on an entire system, solar system for our property. We own multiple properties, and we prep all of them. Great conversation, though. I do need to bring those on. I feel like solar, though, on prepping channels on YouTube is just very oversaturated. You can find that information anywhere. Yuck. I think my mods were very excited. Hi, Ricky. Victoria's in here. Chrissy's in here. Kelly's in here. Everybody came in like running. They were like, oh, we get to ban people? What about guns to protect you? Yes, lots. Lots. We're both pretty big enthusiasts in this house. Yeah. Lots. Now, if you want to talk about some of the new ones that we're building, we could get into that. Second Amendment is key. It is. That is the difference between you having a way to protect yourself or not. And not everybody has those options, but you can get very creative if you do not have those kind of options. That sells freeze dry. OH. What's OH? See, I told you. It's a wild thing in here. I'm sure we'll get through some of these trolls and then they won't come back for a minute. Oh. Have you found freeze-dried orange juice? No, I have not. But I'm sure we could freeze-dry orange juice. I could see that being a very simple process. It would probably be very sour. TH Outdoors, welcome in, welcome in. Kelly Girl, it's a wild one. Hi from Florida, welcome in. Building. April said building. I'm trying to go back through and see if I missed part of her comment earlier. So we are building out on 80 acres. So we have just done our storage containers out there, working on solar there inside of the storage containers, which is a really cool setup. It has solar going up this side, And then we are bringing the inverter part internally inside because it gets really hot out there and it gets really cold out there. And we want to be able to regulate the temperature inside of that storage container. Once again, it is probably 20 miles, 15 miles from the nearest power hookup. So we will be relying a lot on there. Yeah, a new storage container right now is what I'm working on. So we just bought the property. I bought it in November, so I've had it for about 6 months. Starting to grow some food. I'm so proud of you, got you. Knows how to prep in the UK. If you follow Scottish Prepper, he's from the UK and he's really creative the way he thinks about things. He was in here earlier chatting. Oh yeah, a lot of people think the government will help them. See, there's a lot of trolls today. That only helps me. Huh? I might be lagging. Or am I lagging or are you? You're subscribing. You told your cousin there are there's ways. Oh yeah, you can grow food. And I'm just starting to dabble into hydroponics internally. So right now I have my starters that are indoors, but I haven't really fully dabbled into hydroponics except for with sprouts. I do grow a lot of sprouts for my chickens. What about water storage? Lots. So just out in the garage itself, there is a lot. And then in here, they're smaller because this is a studio. And so teaching you how to store up and how to clean your containers, wash them out. It's basic level from even starting from a 1 gallon container to a 7 gallon container, 6 gallon container to a 55 gallon drum. It's essentially the same thing. Now out at the property, we have 750 gallon containers and those are very large, and making sure that you are dumping enough bleach in them, cleaning them out, and making sure that they are fully operational is very important. Oh, thanks, got you. I think I made people mad because I did make a video today commenting back on some hate and outlash on mylar bags. But I'm not sure where that rumor came from where you're going to make a brick. Bricks essentially need water when you're creating it with food. Ooh. Huge demand and can't keep up. Oh, I bet. Yeah, chemicals in the sky. That when you know somebody's talking about chemicals in the sky. How often do you rotate your water storage? Every 6 months. Sometimes I will go about 8 months. It just depends if there is a freeze. If there's a freeze sometimes, especially outdoors, then I have to, on those storage containers, wait about 2 months for the thaw, but then I rotate it out. Great questions. You got me on brick. How do we make sure to set up rainwater storage? That actually should be coming out next week, Mark. Really great question. So just out on the property itself, I'm building rainwater collection systems out there. And we are just about done making those so that they can all be put together and put onto a video so you guys can see like 3 different ways to create your own system. Ours currently right now is because I'm amending the soil and I'm moving out a ton of plants out there because I do want that land to be self-reliant, right? I grow my own food here, but over on that land, I want to be growing my own food. But I don't have a water well dug out there yet. That's what I'm saving up for. Those are very expensive, just so we're all clear. Very, very expensive to dig your own well. And so I have rainwater collection systems that I've started developing, and those have a drip line system attached to them so that those are actually watering the plants out there. It's a really cool system. You can use almost anything for rainwater collection. It's crazy the amount of things. I found a 55 gallon drum that had been dropped out of a vehicle, and I was like, man, please say something bad wasn't stored in it. Once I got it, I could tell it was just water and syrup had been stored in it. So I cleaned that out. It's sitting off on the side and it's going to be doing great. Yep, you have to cut through and bring it back. I don't remember the cost on per foot, but I know it's between 400 to 600 feet. If we're lucky, we'll strike at 250. But they gave us the worst case scenario, and that is $40,000. How much fuel storage do I have? So my husband does all the fuel storage, and we have a lot. And when I say a lot, a lot. We have a lot of storage here, and we have a lot of storage out on the property. Once again, it's completely off grid. I have to be able to run everything that's out there and be able to live comfortably out there without having to go to a gas station. Does that make sense? But for the gallons, like how many, I don't know, because he does all of that. That is his, mine is this. So every person in our community has a different way of our tasks or things that we are more comfortable in storing up. Can I store fuel? Yes. Do I like to do it? Sure. But that is his like favorite thing. And so I just don't mess with it. A well on your property from North Texas was 30,000. Yep. Mods are working hard today. I'll make it from November. You're in Michigan. So do you prep 2 different ways, Mark? Hi, Joey. Welcome in. Things are a little crazy in here. It's been a little crazy this whole time. You haven't encountered a gourmet brick yet, right, Raul? Well, I think it's really funny because the way that people think that sugar will turn into essentially a brick, right? Because of an oxygen absorber. Those, they die out very quickly. I mean, sometimes it'll take a week for them to not be active anymore. But years down the line, that oxygen absorber is not still working. It's dead. Essentially, it's dead. And I want you guys to think of brown sugar. Brown sugar is a great example. Why does brown sugar turn into a brick when it's exposed to air? Because it has molasses in it. It's sugar plus molasses. That's how you make brown sugar. And that's what causes it to go into a brick. There is that moisture that's in it that when it dries, it condenses and gets harder, which a lot of people don't know. Chuck, how many guns and ammo do you have? Let's go over this. How many guns do I personally own? Probably over 20 to 30. Just personally. If you add my husband into it, that's his wham jam, thank you, ma'am. Now, if you're asking like, how much do you have in ammunition? Okay, here, let me put it this way. All right, let's talk 30 round magazines. We have about 70 of those. That's 70 times 30 rounds. And those are just what's preloaded. Now, if you go into actually the storage and how much we have set aside, if we're talking, we're going to throw out a general number. Last month alone, I think we purchased probably 3,000 rounds. And that's on a normal basis because we're constantly training. So a lot of people don't understand. There is no quantitative number of how much ammo is going to be enough ammo. I personally feel like that number does not exist because if you are actually training and you're actually using all of your weapons, you're going to be going through your ammunition. Oh, that's a good one. Because my opinion, you can't depend what you have in the end and end up losing, right? So we don't just prep this location. That's why we prep multiple locations. So then we have more access. April, I don't. That's why today was supposed to be an organization, but we're just getting slammed today. It's supposed to be an organization live, but we haven't been able to really stay on it. What amount of off time can you survive off of supplies when one big one comes? What's the amount of time you can survive off of supplies? So this is just a studio space. So currently right now in this location, I'm working at 5 years of food storage. Now at other locations, we're already past a year. And mind you, I don't just prep for me or just my husband or my 3 kids. I'm not prepping for 5. I prep for our community, which is kind of the craziest part, is I'm prepping a massive amount. So say not everybody was to show up that we are prepping for, that is part of our community, and they choose to rely on what they have at home and there's no reason for them to bug out. We're talking a long time, like almost a decade worth of food. That is what I work towards. And those are really great questions, though. I really like that. How do you keep your food good for years to cook? All kinds. Freeze drying. Freeze drying makes your food last for like 25 years. That right there, I would say definitely do your research. But just like in this house, I mean, there's a substantial amount, but I only show you what's in our rotational setup. So the part of what I do that's different than a lot of other creators, and especially like on TikTok, for instance, you guys see some bins right here. When I am creating, and I've been doing this for years on this app, is we start with essentially, hold on, let me find it empty. There's an empty bin. We start with an empty bin because every prepper has to start somewhere. Your food storage starts somewhere. So what we would do is start a bin, I label said bin, and we start working on it. And as that bin fills, that bin exits this room. We don't see it again unless I have to dig it out for some crazy reason. Does that make sense? And when you're filling up a bin, it gives people who are just barely learning that motivation that you start somewhere, you finish somewhere, and it starts the process over. It raises my electric bill quite a bit. I've never wiped my eggs with oil. Big dice, I'm gonna have to research that. That's a really good idea. How long is coffee good for? A long time. But mind you, both me and my husband are veterans. We literally eat coffee out of like MREs and we don't pour it in water. We just throw it in our mouth. So coffee can last a really long time. Medical supplies, you practice basic medical? Yeah. So Chad, I used to volunteer at a free clinic. I used to work at a suture clinic when I was in college. So I love the medical aspect side of it. I feel like that's an area that I'm always adapting in and wanting to learn more. So right now I'm trying to learn more about like the dental aspect. But those are really great questions. I do antibiotics through Jace. I just finished hosting a Jace treasure hunt here in the state of Utah. Is that your whole house? Yes, this is my entire house, this entire room. I sleep right here inside my canning pot. Yeah, if you volunteer and you learn, like you can pick up on a lot of skills that you did not know. We don't do politics in here. I'm so sorry. This is going by so fast. Chuck, I'm going to have to look at the new one. If FAFO, I don't know if he's still in here. So we're dabbling with a whole new setup and I have not learned it yet. Like him and everybody have been dabbling with a whole new setup and I'm excited to learn that one. So as soon as I know more about it, I only got to see it for about 20 minutes last night. So I don't want to say anything on it because I've not researched it, but they have been playing with something really cool and just really innovative. I was like, oh, I've never even heard of that. You lose the power for a week. Grafter, back for a second time question. Oh, I thought I answered it for you. We are part of a group. When we lived outside of this area, we were more lone. But because we have family that all participates and all does their own thing, we do different. Woodworking, that's what I'm learning. I don't know that one very well. Now, somebody part of our group does. Consider case and run out of ammo, blowguns. Yes. So I am an avid bow hunter. So that is one thing that I'm always dabbling with. We just put in our draw for our bow. What is it that your family brings? So all of my family, so I grew up with preppers. Like, this is normal for me. This isn't something like, oh, it was just a hobby, or, oh, it was just this. This is something my family very firmly believed in it. Like, my grandparents were people who dug their bunkers, okay? When I say that this is like a normal part of our life, I never knew anything different. I didn't know that people thought it was weird or that, no, that's wrong. We have a hand dug dirt, root cellar and basement and a bunker at a different property. I am going to tell you right now, it literally was before we could afford to have machines do the work for us. Okay. So that was just the way I was raised. And so that sometimes comes off weird for other people. Now, how did we develop our own community? Luckily, all of our family grew up this way. So not only did my grandparents do this, and then my mom and my aunt and my uncle. So my uncle, he does all the reloading. That is his favorite thing in the world. It is something he loves to hyper focus on. Has he taught me how to do it? Yes. Would I need a book to sit there and make sure that I do it 100% correct? Yes. Well, when I'm canning, 99% of the time, I already have done it so many times, I have it memorized the same way he has his system memorized. So we do different swaps. He does a lot of the reloading for me. I do a lot of the food preservation for him and his family. And it's a really cool bartering system that we've just always had in place. We also do put in, like, 2 days ago on Easter, we put in for our hunts, right? So I put in for something specific, my husband puts in for something for him, and my uncle puts in something for there. And if we all end up on the same timelines, that's amazing, but it doesn't always work that way. I don't need somebody to go out with me for a hunt. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go back through. There's a lot of comments and they're flying by. Yeah, cell phones are getting more satellite options. How do you find a prepper in a community without giving away? Ooh, that's the hardest one. Angel, very good comment. So for friends, most of my friends have witnessed because I've taught classes, right? So me teaching a class, like, I've been called into community centers and they're like, hey, will you teach so-and-so how to water bath can? They also knew that my grandparents all canned. We grew our own food, those kind of things. So it was just very honestly easy for me to come in and be like, oh yeah, let me teach you how to blah, blah, blah. Now, when I start catching people like that are even closer friends where they're like, yeah, I really want to learn more canning. I want to grow my food more. I'm always kind of vetting the situation of like, okay, well, are you doing this as a hobby or are you doing this something more of you believe in? And most homesteaders are preppers in some aspect. It's just, they go hand in hand, especially farm life. It goes hand in hand. So you'll start seeing them like, oh, I want to do this and this and this, or blah, blah, blah. And you just kind of like vet it out. Now, if they're really close to you and they're people that you have a really strong relationship with, it makes it a lot easier. But it is very hard to build. How much salt and sugar do I have stored up? Chuck, probably in this location alone, probably close to 300 pounds of salt. Easily. Pretty sure. Sugar, that would be a whole different scenario because I do have that broken up between a lot of locations and I am moving a lot of salt out of this location and restocking up. But that's because I do brine my own meat, I do smoke my own meat, and I do preserve a lot. But great questions. These are really intense. I like them. Alcohol will be gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Long-term preps. Thank you so much for answering my question. I try to answer them all in depth. How much alcohol do I have in my storage? I'm trying to think in the next room. Just in the next room. Now, do we have alcohol storage all over? Yeah. But just in the next room, I want to say, I think I have 9 gallons of vodka because I do use vodka when I'm preserving. I think. Hold on. Whiskey's a whole different conversation. My husband loves a whiskey, so that might be double. But vodka I use for tinctures, and I use it to clean my freeze dryer. So I'd say 9 gallons. Now, if we're going to talk moonshine, a lot. I do like my moonshine. I do. That one, ooh, that... I even have moonshine pickles and moonshine peaches. So that one would be pretty far up there on the list on a lot. Now on miniatures, like in bartering, I do have small like miniature containers. I think I only have like 200-ish of miniature like shots. And that's just, let's see, tequila. I do like tequila. We have a lot of tequila. I'd probably say like 9 or 8 bottles, but I wouldn't say gallons. These are great questions. Code Red just said, moonshine peaches, now you're talking. Yeah, like we like, there's a lot. There's a lot. When traveling to Memphis, we go to the moon. That place is one of my favorite places. Mark, been there. Have a wonderful day, April. Code Red Trauma, just found out yesterday, a friend in the community are light preppers, and we were talking about gardens and flower, etc., brought up in the subject. That right there, what Code Red Trauma just said, that is a really good point. So, for instance, I found out somebody next to me preps. They're more soft core preppers. Will I get in trouble for saying something like that? They're more soft. But she had mentioned, she was like, my freeze dryer, and I just, for some weird reason, and she was talking and describing it, and I was like, oh, do you want me to come over and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, come on over. Mind you, she has her food storage out everywhere. And she's like, I'm preparing to go to South America, and I want to be bringing a lot of freeze-dried food with me. And so we started going over stuff, and I was like, oh, you can use this. And I was like, oh, I see you're using those oxygen absorbers. Let me turn you on to a different company. So you're not using such big ones. You can use smaller ones and have MRE kind of style packages. And she was like, oh, and she was just so excited. But it was just one of those conversations. And in my head, instead of being like, oh, I'm bringing that person into my community, in my head, it was like, check, less likely to worry about banging on my door in an emergency. Started seed banks? Yes. So I have 3, I wouldn't say they're large seed banks because I'm constantly using seeds, but I am working harder on my seed banks. I have about 3. Let me see. Where's one of them? I don't like to pull everything out because today I'm supposed to be organizing. This one's like a 10-year shelf life, 39 varieties, and 4,500 seeds. And there's like 3 of those kind of bin containers. So, I mean, ultimately, that's just never going to be enough. Good afternoon, Gen X. How are you? No, you're totally good, Mark. I won't make fun of it. I misspell all the time. What can we do if we have martial law? So right now, that's kind of an area we have been just adapting a lot of our preps with, is having more secure areas, more hidden areas, especially with Second Amendment and food storage. That's one of the reasons why we did move storage containers more out to the property and are starting to shift a lot of our stuff going a different direction. Because if something like that was to happen, it's going to happen more likely in major cities first and then progress to more suburban areas and urban areas and then so on and so forth. Currently, there's just not enough enforcement to be able to do that everywhere at the exact same time. It's one of those boogeyman situations, but could it happen? Yes. I never say anything can't happen because I swear every other day it's like, surprise! And then I just did filming with a South Korean broadcasting unit because they did go through martial law And it was very abrupt when it happened. And so we were talking about different areas to hide. Some people use, I mean, we personally have used inside of our drywall. What are you going to do? Tear down my walls? There's a lot of things that you could do with. Nothing out here. Yeah, exactly. So like Code Red, when I'm working on this property, we talked about it on Canadian Preppers right at the very end on that interview. But sometimes the worst areas to be is some of the best areas to be, right? It would take a lot to get out there. And just because of where it is, I could see anyone coming out there. There's like 2 ways in. And I have the view of both. So it would not be something where you wouldn't see people being able to approach. And they'd have to actually want to be looking for something like that out there. And Utah does have a lot of preppers. Utah is very well known for preppers and for food storage. I mean, you think about it, harvest right, freeze dry it. That's literally right down that way from here. That's where it's all manufactured, is here. The lone plump person, true. How often do you do inventory? Right now, actually, when I'm supposed to be doing inventory. So I do inventory and then I do like just cleanups constantly once a week. And it's normally Tuesday. That's one of the reasons why I was like, let's do a reset. So I'm going to probably stop answering questions for a little bit and start moving stuff around, because that is actually how I keep track of what I have and where some of my holes are, and then keeping things a little bit more organized. Ham radios are great. Just don't be using them as a cell phone, please. Jeez, the trolls are heavy today. I'm trying to go through. You guys stress me out a little bit. I'm just kidding. Thug, I agree. I mean, that is one of the reasons why some people take my content as I hate men, which it's not at all. I think men and women complement each other very, very well. But some people will take the way that I prep as putting down men, which in any aspect, it's not. Actually, I give a lot of good, positive feedback on that. But when it comes to women and prepping, and if something was to happen, just because of the way our culture is, it does leave women vulnerable. And we shouldn't be in that mindset that all women should be vulnerable. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always encouraging women. For instance, one of my moderators in here, I don't want to like call her out by name, but she knows who she is. She had never owned her own gun. Okay. This is a conversation. She had never owned one. And she was like, I don't know, which type do you think? And I said, what I want you to do is go to a range. I want you to go to a range and I want you to take a class. And then I want you to start filling out and decide what's more comfortable for you, because it's going to be different from me, from you. My husband makes the joke, I would walk around with a 240 if I could for fun. But that's because we both like to go to the range. We love that stuff. But not every person is going to want the same thing as what I would want. You can never own. I agree 100%. Like that's why somebody asked me, they said, how much ammunition do you have? And I'm like, just for one of them, I think I have well over 10,000 rounds, but I don't still feel like that's enough. And I'm constantly cycling through, and I'm going to constantly keep, stockpiling and stockpiling and stockpiling and training and shooting something different. Like I just got a new handgun. That my husband was like, you like this one, you like to take this one out shooting a lot, here, why don't you keep this one, I'm gonna get a different one. And I bought him a different one, right? Because we're always switching up different calibers, right? Because some ammunition is going to be easier to come across than other ammunition. And then when you're doing this back and forth, you're going to find out that there's just different things. And so I would like to encourage women. And so don't take it as that I'm putting men down, because on any level I am not. But I'm trying to encourage women that it is okay to tap into that. It is okay for you to start dabbling more tactically. And I think it's important that you do, because there is going to be a time or something, if something bad was ever to happen, that you could potentially be alone. And you could potentially become a target, and you don't want to be that target. Now, do I think that women have a very hidden skill set that not many really discuss or disclose? Sure, absolutely. I think it's a poker face. Hi, Dragonbird. Welcome in, welcome in. Less moving. A revolver does have less moving parts, for sure. Brawl, you're funny. Pass me the biscuits. I agree on a lot of things with that, especially with modern day living. Inventory system would not. So I don't really have an inventory system. It's more, I just kind of keep, I bet you do the exact same thing. Most of us that have been doing this a long time, have you ever like walked into an area that you've been working on and you just realize that there's something missing? Who in here believes that there's just something missing, right? Where you're like, I don't think I've stocked up on that in a while. Or you're at the store or something and it just dawns on you. How many of you think about that, right? Canada doesn't have a lot of freedoms, unfortunately. And that's where you have to get very creative and inventive. A week without internet? Possibility. After the trolls in here today, I could agree with that. You're always looking. What if you prep and you go on vacation? So most of the time when we go on vacations, we choose to go places we can drive. I don't personally like to fly. It's very rare that I end up in a situation I have to fly to an event or do something like that. But more of our vacations are just planned a little bit different than others. We've been to Hawaii. We've done some of those things. And it does feel like kind of an empty space, and it makes you feel a little bit more vulnerable. But for our family, vacations are, honestly, they're always camping or exploring or being able to take stuff to a different location. And we do prep. So if you guys have not seen the videos, I don't know if it's up yet on this channel, but like even our camper is fully geared, prepped. Like it is. And it's not in noticeable places. Campers are very small. There's not a lot of storage, but we've chosen to compile things into smaller storage systems that work better. Your wife wants to go to France. Oh, I'd love to go there, but not right now, not with the current economy and the world is not really great right now. Like that is my personal opinion on vacations. I'm going to ask everybody else in the chat. How do you guys feel about vacations right now with the current geoclimate going on? For me, I am going to stay as far away from that right now as possible. What do you guys think? Tell me down in the comments. LKM says the world's got to chill out a little bit before I consider a trip. I drive 12 hours to see family north of Florida. Yeah, exactly. Like the world, honestly, the way things are, like when you look at like the EU bug out bad videos, right? Like we've talked about this. It's this lady, she's filling up her purse and she's like, make sure you have an extra granola bar just in case you're hungry and need an extra snack in an emergency. And I'm like, and then I have friends that are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Europe. And I was like, oh, is that the one? Is that the one that I'm feeling like? I did our 10-year anniversary in Nashville and I knew I could carry there. So there's just some things where I'm like, I just don't know if that's the time or place I want to be doing that. Nashville was a lot of fun. And we made like a game out of it. Like we made testing out different, like my husband and I are both wing connoisseurs. I love my chicken wings. I like a fried chicken wing and I don't care who it bothers. So we went from place to place to place, taste testing all the different types. And it was fun. I'm not going to take a troll with a Pokemon ball. Sorry. The world's on fire. I've been saying it for years. Nobody is singing, we didn't start the fire. And everyone's singing, we didn't start the fire. I love that brawl. I don't know. You're saying that Americans are too scared to leave. I'm not saying, okay, how many people in here are in different countries? Because I'm not just an American creator. I have people in here from the UK. How many of you guys are in here from a different country? Have a good day, Mike. Thank you so much for your help. How many of you guys are from a different country in here? Than America, than the United States? How are you guys feeling about the current world climate? LKM, Sarah, how do you guys feel about the current world climate? Would you want to be traveling around right now? Just, I'm asking from a friend. Globalism can shove off. Just curious. It's not just an American saying about travel right now. This is me just saying in general. The world climate is a little spicy right now. A little spicy. I can tell it's spicy when you have a South Korean broadcasting. It's like PBS for kids, but PBS for Korea. Comes here and then wants a breakdown of different ways to prepare because they went through martial law just recently. The world's a little spicy. It's a little spicy right now. It's, you got travel advisories, you got bug out bag videos coming out from the government. And it's a little spicy right now. It's a little spicy. I'm going to get a drink real quick. I don't know on that one. I use EMP shields, but and yours is a 2020. Yep, exactly, Billy Reed. See, I love to travel, but right now I just feel like it's a little spicy. You know what I mean? I like this room. It's a nice car. I would say you could use an EMP shield, and they're really easy to install. I feel like saying it. FAFO. Yeah, most definitely be prepared. Joseph says, don't go on vacations much. Would love to visit Israel. Would you want to visit Israel right now? There's the question. It's a little spicy out there. LaShawn, welcome in, welcome in. What are your views on Gen Z being more? Darth, I don't really have an opinion on it. I've actually seen more Gen Z being drawn to prepping, especially in my analytics, and I'm very proud because it makes me see the same thing that we all saw, right? Us millennials, you know, we went through some financial crises, right, as we were becoming adults. And I feel like they're seeing the same thing and they're just wanting to get a little bit more prepared. Now, I don't like to put people in a box or say you got to be right or you got to be left. I'm more apolitical. I see things on both sides, and I honestly think a lot of if it is propaganda and that there is a bigger thing that they're working towards, and if they keep us pitted against each other, then we keep going after each other and we don't see what's actually happening on the world front stage. Is it Proof Oak? Okay. So I feel like when you see like so many people get so like you are versus you and you are versus you, and then when you don't see what's actually happening behind the stage because you're so invested in people fighting it with each other, people, they don't understand that it's kind of like the I told you so. Like we know something as us as a prepping community, we know something else is going on, and it's going full force. But if they can keep us fighting with each other, if they can keep the US and Canada having a huge like that is just, it's awful altogether. And then you hear all of the tariffs, and then Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Iran and all of these other things going on. You guys don't really know what's happening. None of us are privileged to happening on the world stage. There is a world stage. There's world leaders. They all do get together. They all do talk about things. We don't know all the ins and outs. But if we are so bent on just ripping each other to shreds, we're doing exactly what they want. They want you to fight with each other. They want you to fight with each other no matter what. So that's why I really don't dabble in politics. I watch everything, I observe things, and I'll be like, well, that was a dumb move. Okay, so you just did that, so what's happening over here? It's always a distraction. You focus on your homestead, your family, your vehicles, and your guns. Exactly, Boston. And that's like kind of the same thing I do. If I focus on the things that I can focus on and kind of just observe what's going on, I feel like I'm more aware. You got to get ready tonight. Well, thanks for being here, Dragon Bird. And it's a lot of noise. So I have friends and they are reporters. They're reporters. Some work for Patriot TV, some work for different outlets all over the country. And they have these scanner processes. And it pretty much is going through all the data so that they can find what the newest, latest story is. And so one day I took a phone call from like 4 of them. We were all on like a FaceTime call. And I was like, explain. Oh, sound's gone. Is it back now? Let me know if it's back. We're good? Okay, perfect. It was a phone call and I let it go to voicemail, so it will glitch out the live. So we're sitting on a FaceTime call and they have all their little scanners going and it is breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, this, executive order, this. And I was like, what is happening? And this is before inauguration, okay? So this is back at the very beginning of January. And I'm sitting there and I go, what's going on behind the scenes? And they go, what do you mean? I said, what's going behind the scenes? And they go, what do you mean? There's so much stuff going on right now. Everything is hitting the news and I got to cover this story and so-and-so is going to cover this story and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but what's going on behind the news? Like what's going on behind what is actually being leaked? What is actually happening? And some of them were like, what do you mean? And I was like, something else is happening. Something else is happening and it's about to break. All of those breaking news stories are going to just disappear. And they're like, what do you mean? No, this is just a lot of news overload and we got to get those stories out. And sure enough, tariff wars. And I was like, oh, look at that. Now we're tariffing. Okay, all right. All right, now I'm going to prep in all of these avenues and I'm going to really lock in on these ones that I've been postponing and get those preps over to where I need to have them. And we all did another phone call together and they were like, how did you know? How did you know that there was going to be more cost? Hi from Australia. Welcome in, Maddie. Buying clothing and shoes first to go up in price. Yep. And Kelly, I just did a topic, I think on that 2 weeks ago, right? Where I said a lot of it is different costs. Proof oak, exactly why journalists not reporting on the news that's not known yet. Exactly. Oh, I agree. I agree with that full-heartedly. My thing is when there is a press conference, you guys understand that most of that is true journalism died a while ago. I'm going to tell you that. True journalism where a reporter was somewhere and they caught the story and they wrote it just as it was being reported, that has died, unfortunately. And it's changed a lot. You hear ducks? Do you want me to grab a duck for you? Got you. I'm constantly looking at that. I feel like it's hard just depending on where your location is, depends on what a radius is. There's so many things you have to think about. And that's one of the reasons I prep multiple areas. That is one of those ones where I'm like, that is a true SHTF. And it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm constantly reading more. Get hawthorn. Yes, get a duck. All right. We'll get hawthorn. They want to see you. You're muddy. Did you make a mess? Did you make a mess? Oh, Charlotte is so mad right now. Come here. I know. Shh. They wanted to see you. I know, huh? I know. You're not going to bite me, are you? It's tried to get me a couple times. You've never seen a duck like that? I found him in a bin and he had a little faux hawk. And so he's my little emo duck. He's got his little black Converse to match. And it wasn't just a phase, Mom. Does it bite? Yeah, when it's stressed out. Hi. I know. I know, baby. I know. Are you stressed? Maybe he's a black swan. I don't know. Huh. I know. I know you want to. I know you want to be snuggled. Better get Charlotte now. Okay. You want to go back in? I know. Let's go. I know. Stop screaming. Stop screaming. They want to see you. Charlotte. I know. I know. I know. Exactly. A black swan event. I know. I know. I know. I know, honey. I know. Shh. You're fine. This is Charlotte. She's still mad at me. I know, honey. I know. I know. Are you done? Are you done glaring at the camera? She says, I would like to go see Hawthorne, and they don't like to be separated. They have a lot more protein in them. I haven't had ducks since high school. You want to go take a bath? Do you want to go take a bath? But they're pretty sweet. She's just starting to get feathers. Hawthorne is pissed off. My husband's like, Hawthorne is mad. He is. He's really mad. I know. She's back. She's back. Okay, they're back. Come here. Which one? And then we have lots of birds. Shh. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Huh. I used to have rabbits. I know. Are you tired? I know. Thanks for that. Now I need ducks. I'm sorry. I'm a bad influence. Our daughter had a rabbit and it did go in a litter box. But if I was going to do rabbits, I would do them for meat. So unfortunately, you got a regular Noah's Ark. Well, I have my regular flock outside. These are all new to the flock. They just don't have enough feathers yet, as you can tell. Okay, ma'am, will you chill? So she's fully feathered over here, but she's still got quite a bit of fluff still in her. She's getting feathered more, but she just needs a little bit more feathering before she can go outside. But we're constantly adding more birds to our flock because sometimes we lose birds, unfortunately. Huh. I don't know if anything pooped on me, so we're gonna hold on to that. Meat rabbits are amazing. Couldn't process them. We still have, you couldn't process them, and so you still have them. So family friends of ours owned meat rabbits, and we owned meat chickens. I'm just gonna sit because I have been walking around talking to you guys this whole time, and I still have a lot more cleaning to do down here. Hello, welcome in, NS. You lost 4 of your girls to a fox. Yeah, Corinne, it's hard because sometimes you do. You lose birds. We've lost ours sometimes to illness. Mainly it's been our dogs or another dog. So we're always adding more into it. And that's part of prepping is there is a lot of homesteading that goes with prepping. I'm going to try to go back through comments. Sounds like you got a regular Noah's Ark. It feels like it right now, especially when we're adding any new animals in, because some of them are indoors until they're ready to be outside. It does feel like an ark. And so it does keep me very, very busy. Does anyone think that the government will make us lose all of our pets and birds from the flu? Ooh, love. That is a conspiracy theory I have been dabbling with for a bit. When it does, here's the thing. When it comes down to the government, I don't put anything past them. Anything, no matter what. In this location, over a year. In this location. Now, in other location, we're hoping much longer. That's what we're working towards. Yep. Ooh. I do save a lot of my bacon fat. My husband says, we can survive a lot longer than anyone on The Walking Dead. That would be a true, like that's kind of the funny part. He's just asking a question, guys. Don't get defensive. I think that's a great question to ask. Like, how long could you survive off the grid? Like, that's a question we have to ask each other on a regular basis. I think it's a perfect question. So for instance, how long do you guys think you could last? If the grid was to truly go down, how long do you think you could last? Medication-wise? I'd like to be completely off-grid. They will confiscate your preps if they have no desire, no winners in the war. It's a great question. It's a great question. So how long do you guys think you guys could last? So karmic angel, that is a conversation I have had where I said, you're only as good in a firefight as long as you have ammunition. Okay, you're only good in a fight as long as you can last. Right? And not a lot of people think about that. They'll be like, oh, I have this, or oh, I have this, or oh, I have, like, I'll see people be like, oh, I got this scope and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how good are you without it? How good are you in a close situation? How long do you think you can last? How long can you, and it's not about the fight, like the firefight. It's not about the fight itself. How long can you remain invisible? That's a really good question for people. A lot of people don't realize that. How long can you remain invisible and self-sufficient? One area of prepping that I started dabbling in, okay, so I feel like there's a big flaw, and this is a video that is actually coming out, but I'll give you guys kind of a prelude about it, and it is gray man versus tactical. I feel like prepping goes two different ways, right? We all want gray man, but not everybody can be gray man. I'm going to be real. Genetics have a lot to play with that. If a man is 6'5", he is going to be noticeable. It is going to be so hard for that person to be considered gray man. So they're going to kind of dabble to probably a different direction because that is something that is a lot harder. Now, as a person, just for myself, like for instance, my husband, he has tattoos. They're patriotic. Most of us all have tattoos. A lot of us veterans do. Not all veterans, but a lot of us. They're a little bit more noticeable. So I started dabbling like with the idea of makeup and covering and like just kind of not looking at those. But here's the thing. A lot of us veterans, we pack our bags very similar ways because we're used to rucking. We're used to using a pack. I mean, I used my assault pack everywhere while I was in for 8 years. Like I used it constantly. I feel like the way I pack something, it's probably a lot more tactical than a gray man style pack where it wouldn't be so noticeable. Like if you saw somebody, you'd be like, oh, they just got a backpack on. For me, I feel like it's a little bit more noticeable. So you have two different directions that people will float in, correct? You have your gray man, which everybody should strive and love. And like, that is what I would love to have. And then you have your more tactical. Both are not bad. Gray man, the hard part with gray man is you look like the average person, which is a bonus. Like I'm saying, like these are all like plus marks going through the roof, right? You're not noticeable, you're not this, you're not that. However, there is flaws that come with that system. There is flaws, which sometimes we don't project those out there for everybody to understand. Is those flaws of gray man is you look like an average person. I'm probably going to try to take you. I'm not going to lie. I will be the boogeyman of that. Probably there's a possibility. And that right there is a hard concept for people to understand. Frags are better than guns. True. But think about that, right? You have your average person who is going gray man or just average civilian. Okay, let's just say civilian, right? Is more of an avoidance. I agree. It is that, but that also brings in would somebody want to push that person? Would somebody want to challenge that person? Because you don't know if it's going to be, hi Jess Outdoors, welcome in. You don't know if you're going to see if that person does prep or if that person is prepared or if it's just an average person, right? Just think about that. Okay, now let's go to the other side. Okay, I'm just throwing out some positives and negatives. Okay, this is what I do. I like to analyze it from all situations. You have your tactical, right? They have this, and this. This is the way they dress. I want that, right? That's one of the first big like flags, right? Is I want that. Now there's another side that a lot of people don't look on, the tactical side of prepping, is I don't have the ammo to push that. Truthfully, I don't have the ammo to push that. I don't know if I want to push up on that. Think of the movie Homestead, right? Think about that for just a moment. We're going to stay on this subject for a bit. Think about the moment in Homestead when they're rolling up with a convoy. Both me and my husband did convoy security. And we were talking about the pros and the cons of that convoy as it rolled to that compound, right? So they're rolling to this compound, and obviously their vehicles are a little bit more kitted out. We have vehicles that are a little bit more kitted out. People are not going to want to push that unless they know they can actually challenge it. They'd want to be more sly about it. There is a bonus to that kind of prepping and that kind of field, because it is kind of the get the F back or there's going to be consequences, which is a flaw in the gray man style, because sometimes people are going to want to push that more. And not a lot of people have ever talked about that. And that is why I'm making a video about it, is not a lot of people in the YouTube world have talked about the different sides and that there's pros and cons on both. So picking a side or picking how you're going to adapt is going to be what works best for you, correct? Because from my point of view and my own husband's point of view would be, we would look at it as, do we want to push that? No, I don't know. I don't know if I don't think we have that for, like, but that's just us looking at it logically. How many of you guys have seen people actually talk about that subject? Because that is something I have been like, everything, like just researching and researching and researching. And I was like, this is a very interesting topic that not many people have talked about. Oh, I agree. I agree with that, Dan, 100%. See, and that's why we all work together, right? We all work together because there's things Dan is going to think of that I've never thought of. Same with Karmic Angel and same with TJ, right? It's like, and so for me, like, I have a full sleeve. You guys know this. Sometimes in my videos, you'll see me with long sleeves. It's not noticeable. It's not something very noticeable, right? But then also adapting it of, okay, well, I wonder if I can actually do makeup on there to like make it like disappear. Those kind of things. And just like, just different little styles and stuff that can change people's persona of you. I feel like it's a very, it's a good mindset that everybody gets into. Jess Outdoor says, honestly, I've never seen others talk about that. It's like the same concept of having a strong community versus being a lone wolf, right? There's pros and cons. Would I cut off my hair? No, but I probably would have my hair pulled back. I have lived in third world countries and I kept my hair completely pulled back. One of my things that I do wear on a regular basis is hoodies. The reason why is it's a lot easier. I don't have a ponytail on me right this second. That, hold up, is a lot less noticeable. But it just depends on what kind of circumstance you're in. If a true SHTF, would I want to chop off all my hair? Probably. And that's just from a hygiene aspect. My hair would dread up very quickly. I have extremely thick hair and I have long hair. So I wouldn't be trying to have very feminine features like that. But that would be from a hygiene standpoint, because I think a lot of parts of prepping that people miss is the personal hygiene. Lice, there's a reason why during every like catastrophic event throughout the world, we're talking plagues and all kinds of stuff, is you really want to think about this, right? Lice. Think of it. Think of bubonic plague. Think about the bugs. Think about all the things that happen, right? Think about it. Just from a hygiene perspective, hair and long hair is a disadvantage. I agree, 100%. 100% agree with that. This is making me scratch my head. Stock up on lice treatment, right? Like, not a lot of people think about those kind of things. Mimi goes, and I'm running to get lice treatment. That is just something that crosses my mind. My hair would dread up. It would be gross. And I would not want to waste precious water. I wouldn't. I probably would chop my hair off. Very, very truthfully. Now, would I like chop all of it off? Probably not. But I would chop a lot of it off. Oh, we got more trolls again. Here we go. We're all trying to have a normal conversation. You can be in timeout for 24 hours. Who's next? You had to bag up all your clothes? Yeah, I could imagine that. True. That is an area that I am constantly researching. Dan, I feel like I have like a secret obsession. With traps. And I'm constantly researching more and more. But even my husband laughs is every time there's a gun show, first place I'm going is I'm buying the spike strips. He's like, oh God, there she goes again. But we've talked about it. Like, what if there was a time where things were going to shut down, or where projectively people could be flooding towards my area, our area? What would be the most likely way that they would go? They would use vehicles if those were optable. So for me, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm the only crazy person that preps multiple tires. Anybody else in here prep your vehicles? Just curious. Let me know in the comments. But spike strips, there's only so many ways into where I live. That's a fun area. And then out at the property, there's only so far you're going to be able to walk. And it's such a good area. Just like, there's so many different traps and so many different things that you can design that not many people think about. And that is that is like part of my secret obsessions. I know it's weird. It's weird. I've never used spike strips from Walmart. Ever. I always get them from gun shows, or there is a shop online. You can look it up. But it's a weird one. It's a weird one where I'm like, And then I don't have time for your guys' children in here, so I'm going to put them in timeout since their mommies don't do that. Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, NS. There's other ones that, so a lot of people talk about urban prepping, right? And that is an area I've been dabbling in and researching, and then talking to friends who actually live in apartment buildings. What are some of your fears? What are some of this? Because I don't, right? So that's some area. FAFO goes straight to the flamethrowers. I'm telling you, sometimes we would prefer the zombies over this modern day shit that's going down. I'm just going to be honest with you. But we were talking about different apartment buildings and floors and stuff like that. And somebody was like, hey, I live on the 10th floor. And that is a huge FAFO. Thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate it. We were talking about the flaws, right? The flaws of apartments and being in such a metro area. And we were going over supplies and the supply chain and electricity going out. And I was like, you know what? I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but if you are up in a higher area, like an apartment, right? We've seen it on TV shows. We've seen them where they grow on the rooftops and blah, blah, blah. But always those apartment buildings in the cinematic eyes are overran, and there's a horde that comes through, or people come through, and people could be, I'm so sorry. Vesser, your mom says that your ramen noodles are done upstairs. You can go up there. I'm not here to be your mommy. But they talk about this flaw, there's no perks in it. And I was like, do you know how nice it would be to border off something where, first of all, most humans, and I'm going to be very realistic, are lazy. How many of you guys know a human out there that's lazy? How many of you guys know one? A human that is lazy. Would you walk up 10 flights of stairs to go search? I feel like that's when people start getting desperate. I really think that some of those urban lifestyles, yeah, there's so many cons and so many flaws in that system, but there is so many benefits that people don't really realize it. If those elevators stop working, I don't think somebody would go up. I really don't. I watch people get winded going up the stairs in their own home to change the laundry. My own kids don't even like to do that. Yep, robots kick our butt in productivity. Yep. But think about that. Think about like that as a bonus. Maisie's like, I'm winded walking up, but I get it done. But think about that. You could use that to your advantage. You could use all those stairs to your advantage. For higher buildings, most people may assume the upper floors are not safe or stable. Yep, potentially a hide upper level. Great conversation right there, Jess. I love that. Not a lot of people will think that. They don't think about, oh, that could be something that could be used to their advantage. That's something I would think of, like not think of myself, but if I was to pass something like that, I'd be like, nah, probably not going to go up there. 10 stories, like a ladder, like I'm talking like a 10-story apartment. We do have like window escape ladders, but not for 10 stories. That would be crazy. I have to plug in my phone. Oh, we might have to move further back. We're going to move the chair up where we talk. I do not have a long cord for this new phone. So we'll just adjust fire, okay? Yep, especially when there's already burnout, yep, or overlooked, looted, yep. Grandchildren up the stairs. Denise is like, I had to lug them up 3 flights. Would you want to go up 10 stories to search, Denise? I feel like that would be an area that would be extremely overlooked. Would be extremely, extremely overlooked. When you think about those things. Unstable and psychotic. Oh, that's a new one. Denise is like, I might. I don't know if I would. Oh, y'all are making my mods mad. They're removing things before I can even see them. There's a lot of haters today. It's been kind of fun. Prep your lofts, yeah. I mean, that it's just an area I feel like not a lot of people, we hear all the bad things. We hear all the bad things about different areas of prepping, but we don't really ever discuss the good areas. Yep, karmic angel. I agree. Yeah, most are not ready for long-term hygiene care. I agree with that. I got you. Thanks, got you. What about a dry crawl space? I think I can store stuff there. Yeah, as long as it's a dry one. So we had a crawl space in Alaska and we couldn't because we had to have sump pumps in there. Oh, I agree, Jess. Nobody is prepared for I feel like that area I have not dabbled in. Baking soda is excellent. And a lot of people feel like I've seen so many things about baking soda out there where they're like, "Oh, this will go bad." And I'm like, "It doesn't." Like I've used it for a long time. Ooh, you bought a Harvest, right? Do you love it, digital? Yeah, it's hard enough to convince people to go foraging with you, let alone prep their own home. I agree. It is. It's a very interesting subject altogether. I mean, you can't lead somebody to prep. They have to choose to want to do it themselves. They have to want to make the effort. And most people are too lazy to want to do it, unfortunately. And that's really hard. It's really, really hard. Collector of music. Are you Scottish? So my grandpa and our family from that side is all from Scotland. And from my biological dad, they're all from Ireland. Let's just say we're mean drunks. As you said, folks early. Oh, you live in Scotland? Oh, I love that. I've never been to Scotland. I've been to Ireland. Y'all are so funny. Joel T wants to know if this is a bunker. Should we just tell him? Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I want everybody in the chat to write the end is near. Just let's do it. Everybody in the chat. Jess instantly went for it. She goes, the end is near. The end is near. The end is near. See, we're starting a cult. And we drink Kool-Aid on Wednesdays. And we wear tinfoil hats on Sundays. So this is going to become part of your regiment. If you stay in here too long, the propaganda of prepping is going to propaganda you. Oh, I love it. Everyone's in here. You're sad you missed the Easter egg hunt? Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. It was really fun. At the very end, the last like 2 hours, I know that there was the live in here and everyone was like, they're saying they found it. They did. That's what people were saying up at the top of the mountain. And I didn't know that because we had other people walking around everywhere. And they were like, yeah, there were people screaming. They found it. And they think that they were saying it to throw other people off so they'd stop searching an area. Anastasia, what do you consider the worst smell in the world? A dead body. And I don't wish that upon anyone. Ed S is like, sorry, it's too late for me. He already joined. You've been prepping for 5 years, not much now. I need now. Do you ever find yourself like figuring out a prep you need though? Like I know you just got your freeze dryer where you're just like, what new area am I starting to work on? Okay. You think this isn't my first time being doxxed? Body bags, prep. Yep. Mm-hmm. I had my license. I let mine overlap and expire. And now my husband's getting his license because I was like, I don't need to be flagged on any more things that I'm already flagged on. So code red trauma. We prep a lot of 1-inch plywood. Those are easy to mount to windows and ground levels. Also alarms. And then even in EMP bags, we have magnetic ones that make a sound just if something slides open. So we have a whole system that's in an EMP bag just in case, because we already have them already set up here. But if something was to happen and we had to take it down, we'd want to put that up. And that's kind of a sound alert. If the grid was still working or electrical was still working, a lot of our camera systems still could work if we're talking like civil unrest, those kind of things. So prepping in so many different facets and making sure, but also we have like tripwires. We have different sounds that alert, and there's a lot of really cool things out there that you can look into. One of my favorite ones though is, especially for the people who love to dox me. How about I give you the answer now, because you won't be smart enough to figure that out. The way my home is set up. The way my home is set up. I know a lot of people can't change that, but that was one of the best things about my home when we chose to buy this one. I can keep eyes on only the 3 major breaching points from one position. That's less eyes needed. There's always really cool options you can do there. Jolty, I don't think you're being rude. You're fine. You're fine. We prep for everything from job loss to emergencies to economy collapses to World War III, the zombie apocalypse. I don't want the aliens, though, okay? I'm just going to pass that one off. You have a lot of acreage. I would look up, there is some really cool creators on here that have a lot of acreage, and they've linked trip alarms to their radios. I have not figured out how to do that yet, but there is really cool. Yeah, 3 points of entry is really awesome. And that's one of the coolest parts about my home is it's like, but it gives us all the advantages. Imagine aliens saying the same about us. Look it up on this app because I watched the video. I'm trying to remember the name. I'll have to look it up. But it was really neat. Hello, Adriana. How are you? We are doomed. Are we doomed? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we could be. Do I freeze dry my own foods? Yes. And then I also buy some that I don't want to run in my freeze dryer because it takes too long and it's kind of a lengthy process. And just some things I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that one. I'd rather buy it. What do you prepare for and what is your highest level of consume? I prepare a lot for civil unrest, but that's because we've all been pitted to hate each other so much. Government collapse. I feel like that one could happen. There's a lot of things that could happen. Sleeper cells. There's a lot. True, Dan. That was a prophecy. Recession. Too much makeup, girl. Hold up. What makeup? Like, let's be real here, okay? Don't you think if I was using makeup, I would cover flaws? I do have eyelash extensions, but that's because I'm a redhead. Nice try, though. They like come in droves. Ooh, man on the moon. I got something for you too. Why don't you just be quiet for the next 24 hours? It doesn't bother me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Ooh, now we got the disses. Oh, you don't need to mute them for that. I don't care. There's so many trolls today. Ooh, we're getting a new wave. Sorry, I don't advertise it. This is an office space. This is like one room. Nice try, though. And boxes. Which ones? Those ones or those ones? Which ones? What do I think civil unrest looks like in modern America? Do you have a windmill? I'm working on a windmill, Jeff. That's a great question. I do have solar power, but I do not have a windmill yet. What have I done? So we have EMP bags. We also have, what is it? Mission Darkness. And then we have created Faraday cages over some of the generators. Now, some of the generators are out on the property, and those are not EMP protected because honestly, the worst that could happen is maybe a solar flare for that area. There's nothing out there. And that would be the weirdest thing to happen. But we still have some EMP protection out there. Not all, not as heavily as here. And then also we use EMP shields inside of our vehicles. We also do own some older vehicles. Just working on things for everything. Yeah, but there's really not a site out there. So digital, I don't want to give too much on it. Utah is very condensed in certain areas and not in others. So if it was, it would have to be a very bad aim. And still, I mean, we're talking 50, 100 miles to the nearest place. So it's really so far out. But do I have a Jackery stored up in an EMP box? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Village Idiot. I hate calling you that. That's a horrible name. But how to get your wife more involved. Turn off the breaker of your house. Utah Gold backs. But turn off your breakers and then go, hey, let's do a mock trial of 48 hours without power. Normally that will cause a lot of changing of mindsets. EMPs are strong enough to cause so much disorder that way lasted affects it. It could, but honestly, EMPs are also used as kind of like the boogeyman. There is going to be a radius. A lot of people think an EMP goes off and then boom, it's done. Everything's gone. They all have different potentials and different powers. Janet, you can go to a timeout. I'm not dealing with idiocracy. Faraday cages are easy to make, cheap. You just want to test them out. You just want to make sure that they will fully, properly work. But there's a lot of things. So a lot of people think that one EMP goes off, everything is gone. Like it's like everything's gone. No. One of my favorite examples of it, and that's because the military does prep with EMPs. Just trying to be very kind and like give you guys like a different way to look at it. How many of you guys have ever watched the TV show Lioness? Anybody? Not all EMPs are going to work thousands of miles. Some are smaller. Some are going to be a little bit more condensed. Some are going to be much larger. That's why I said there's not, it's such a wide variety of areas, correct? Wide varieties of areas of what it could shut down, how far in front could shut down, how far in back. Now, if you actually start researching, yes, Ryan is correct. Altitude. I have not touched that one yet. Now, up higher altitudes, much larger area, much larger. But we got to look at all of the difference. There's so many different types. There's so many different things. Like you have to look at all of the levels to it, not just one side. If we just assume if one went off, everything goes off, it's done. Titan, it has been a wild roller coaster in here. Not going to lie. It just depends on the height, the yield. Yep, there's so much to it. And where people are like, well, you can't prep for everything, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. Like I said, the property I own is very remote. And when I say very remote, even if one was set over in the altitude and in the sky, over Salt Lake City, that's fucking hundreds of miles away from where I'm at. Hundreds. I'm not really as worried about it. And most of Utah is cram-packed into a valley area, which would make it more of a target. Now, more likely, would they set it over Salt Lake City? No, they would go to the west side of the state towards Dugway. Dugway is way more of a reason. Or the NSA building on the west side of the state. Those would be more of a targeted area. Oh, you didn't need to retract it, Ryan. You could say that. That's a great point. I just got that book. One of his books. Does he have more than one? I think that was a great conversation, Ryan. I'm going to give Ryan a minute to write that back because I think that was awesome. There we go. Not every EMP is a nuke, but every nuke is an EMP. Exactly. And I hope we never get to that point, but I do prep for all those kind of things. I feel like that's like my hierarchy of prepping. Oh, you were good, Ryan. I knew what you were meaning by it. That's why I was like, this is such a good conversation for others to have. Oh, you did? He has a website to do that? I'm trying to remember where I got it. Oh, Juan, I got a lot. But everyone needs to understand is like that. I like to put that like on my tipping point, right? Of prepping. Like, let's hope it's not. But then a lot of people also believe in, yep, Faraday cages. Excellent, excellent. A lot of people think nuke, automatic, nuclear fallout. What is it? Cold, dark winter. What other terms have been used? I mean, there's so much to this conversation. So much to this conversation in such an in-depth, it's such an in-depth topic, which I love. They think no life will ever reform. People think like road vibes, the road. I feel like that's a good one. The long, cold winter. And everyone thinks that, but it's like, Hiroshima, there's a city there. And it's functional. And a lot of people don't realize that things have a half-life. And your alpha and beta particles are your biggest concern. Like, but there's radiuses, and then you have weather conditions, and then you have all these other things. So there's so many areas to prep. Yes and no. So like with the way that technology is now, I don't want to say no, but there is some, there's some. I'm trying to go back through these comments. Yep, they don't have as, exactly, bro. They don't have as much as when we dropped one. Oh, we don't do politics in here. Yeah, there could be a dirty one. Like that is a total, like, rules of engagement really, once that button gets hit, rules of engagement really don't exist anymore. I think Zuckerberg building a bunker in Hawaii is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All I think about is like the first tsunami. Like, can you imagine the air filtration system? Or if they have a system to stop the water from coming inside, but how many oxygen tanks? I think most of it's a myth. It's more of that like Hollywood vibe, like, and then everything's gone. Can we get a mute for King Jesus Saves? We don't do politics in here. Just a 5-minute mute, not a 24-hour. Just a 5-minute. Like, we're just not going to spam. We're all having a conversation. If you want to participate in the conversation, come right ahead. And if you don't, that's okay. Prepping's not about politics. It's just about keeping your eyes open. Oh, we did it again. Okay. I'm going to put you in a little timeout for 5 minutes, let you think about that for a moment, and then stop copying and pasting. Yeah, after TJ's right. After a while, rules of engagement go out the window. Honestly, I don't like rules of engagement in general, but you know. There's a lot of research though into like a nuclear winter. We listen and we judge. Oh, I muted him already. Hello, U.S. Marine Corps. How are you? You think it was on the other app that the trolls... Normally, LaShawn, normally TikTok is my troll space. I haven't had to have moderators really in here in months. So Ryan, have you seen the research on it? So my husband's still in. He's been in for 19 years. And they do... So it's pretty much like a call tree, right? Like you have to like call in everybody, see exactly where everybody is on a regular basis. Those are actually happening a lot more now than they've ever happened. I served 8 years. He served 19 years. And he's constantly having to do a standardized check on all of his soldiers on a regular basis. Now, here is the weirdest part, what a lot of people don't understand is there is a contingency plan for complete disaster. And not a lot of people understand that or know that there is, it's projected more than 25% would abandon their post in the first 48 hours. And by week 2, 14 days, more than 70% of people would abandon their post. Did you know that? like if something was to happen in our current country, like current day, that they actually have a percentage number of people who would leave. And not a lot of people did like know that. And I only know that because we were all having a very open conversation, and they were like, yeah, it's like projected. Like if there was wildfires and say they were going to hit this side of the state, most of the guards members for the state would actually probably not show up to their duty call because they would go to their home. And then they broke it down like different types of scenarios. And I was like, interesting. And I just like, I let people talk that because I'm like, huh. Now, while we were deployed, we didn't have anybody abandon post, but once again, we're deployed overseas, we're deployed away from our families. But if something was to happen stateside, they have a contingency for that. They do. They have a contingency. They have a number that they expect to actually show up. And it's not 100%, which is crazy to think about. Isn't that the most crazy thing? Because when I was thinking about that, I was like, yeah, we really haven't had a lot of stateside events. What do you think the psyche valves are for, right? Being ex-military, how do you feel about that? If something was to happen stateside, like this is just me being very honest and very, something was to happen, oh, I'm going for my kids first. I'm going for my kids first. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Now, we're not talking them abandoning their post or abandoning their duty station. We're talking like something's extreme happening, whether it's civil unrest, protests. I mean, they talked about a massive amount of situations. Something to happen on our soil. And it's the same for cops too, right? Cops want to help. EMS wants to help. But once something hits close to your home, how many of you guys think that you wouldn't go to check on your loved ones? How many of you guys don't think? Supplies after an event would be a no-go. Stay home with my supplies. Go play soldier with nothing. Exactly. And if you guys don't know, like most of the posts here, weapons are locked up. Ammunition's locked up in a different vault. I used to run vaults. That's what I used to do. That was my fun thing. That was like my actual title. I used to run vaults. And not everybody has access to that. Hi, Kelly. There's so many variables. Yep. So be as ready for many as possible. Exactly. I don't sell anything. I'm just reading comments. My mods are working double time hard today. This is crazy. All right, you guys. Think about some of those subjects. We'll be coming back to those on different videos, but think about them. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of different research, and a lot of people don't think about all these different scenarios. And I do love to like just absorb your thoughts on it. So have a wonderful day, you guys. I'm going to give my mods a break because it's kind of been a little crazy in here. True, Billy. Gosh, he just snagged that one right there. Civil unrest. I feel like civil unrest is just very easy. Yep. Rule number 1 for conflict: to evade, de-escalate, and evade. Yep. And I've tried to tell them that lives are really fun. But then y'all see all the trolls come in. I can see why some creators don't. I've been doing this long enough that I don't let the trolls, they don't really bother me. I think it's a great way to get in contact with your community. I think it's a great way to build your community, to get different ideas, because some things I think of, you guys don't think of, and some things that you guys talk about, I don't think about. So there's just different things that everybody has. Serena, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate it. I like to think about what you guys, what's at the forefront of your mind. Some people are more experienced preppers and some are just starting off. So I like to try to hit all the scenarios as much as possible. But I feel like I don't get as much hate on like doom and gloom. I think it's because I smile. Like if there was a zombie apocalypse, that would be kind of cool. And people are like, oh yeah, she's just smiling away. And they just kind of like shove that off to the side. Well, other people are more serious and then people get like, they get all mad about it. Oh, bro, thanks so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. It's been a day. I agree. Oh, that's where you saw me, Ange? Oh, thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. It was really fun to be on his show. It was really cool. Definitely, it was a good conversation because there were so many topics that we could talk about. And I really appreciate that he did that. And I feel like that's part of our community. That's part of prepping in general is I want to learn from you guys and you guys want to learn from me. And we might not see things the same way, but hey, you bring up a topic, like there's been 4 that I've screenshot today. And those ones I'm like, I'm definitely deep diving into those because those are something new. That's something new I didn't like think of or hadn't heard of in a minute. Oh, in his last video? Huh. He does know his stuff. And he's really methodical about it. Like he is very, very intelligent. It's awesome to have conversations because we both talk about different things where it's like we can just keep going with it, which is really awesome when it comes to prepping. That's one of the reasons I host lives is I really like the engagement of like, let's talk about this. Like Ryan had, like when Ryan retracted what he said because there was something misspelled, I'm like, no, put it in. This is such a good conversation. And it was really hard because like making the transition from a different app to over here, like I opened this app or opened my channel a year ago, but I didn't really post on it. I think I posted 4 videos and then I just walked. I was like, I'll come back to it because my full-time job was another social media account and it's the same style. It's just charmingly frugal. And that's actually how we met was through there. And somebody was like, he did a video on you. And I'm like, what? No. Oh no. And it was the buckets. The buckets. I'll never say the word buckets without that tone. Oh, thanks, TJ. He's like, and I am not flirting. I appreciate when you do say that because I try to read everyone's comments and sometimes I might skip a subject because it might be so in depth and then people get really emotional. So sometimes I will skip certain subjects where I'm like, oh, I don't know. Those subjects I prefer in video mode where it's like, because sometimes people want to argue. I know. And so you said the eyes and the eyebrows are engaging, just not flirting. No, I'm not flirting. For me, I have to like reel myself back because I do smile a lot because I feel like that means it's a better way for people to want to absorb the content, right? We have a lot of people who are like, bad, 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 bad. And I've been doing this a long time and doing lives a long time that when I'm smiling, people are more likely to want to learn. And the more we can get them, Homestead says, not the buckets. The more we can get people to learn and want to prep and engage in this, the less people we have to worry about, right? They said 90% of the population, Schmidt, if something catastrophic was to happen, if we can get just a little bit more people prepping, that's less people we have to worry about. Your dad is a wilderness survival expert. Yes. And I think that those classes, I always sign up for those. Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle change completely. Ed S says you talk with your hands. Somebody told me that it was very obnoxious that I talk with my hands in videos, and that was what was wrong with my generation, and I needed to sit still. And could you imagine if I did lives like this when I'm talking to you guys as a community? Hold on. Today we will be talking about cleaning up this room. Do you guys feel like that's engaging? Jeffrey, you're welcome. Hey, my friend Catherine told me about them, and I was like, oh, I need those. I just hope it's engaging to you guys where you're like, oh, this seems fun, or oh, that was easy. It's not as intimidating. I mean, that one person who made a comment about it, I mean, they went even on CP stuff making comments about the sugar bricks. And I was like, dude, I will open up my mylar. Like, it doesn't, there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of things, and people will get really worked up about. And if we're so hung up on an oxygen absorber in one bag, man, when you start prepping for all the things that are out there, you're going to get really hung up on things, and then you're going to get discouraged, and you're going to quit. Everything's in that pile, right? That is a hard one. Oh, thanks, Dominic. That would be so boring. I try to make it interesting, and I try to make it that where I pull you guys in and you guys are like, I can do this. And I want to motivate and empower people. I want them not to feel like you can't do this and you can't prep, and if a nuke goes off, you're all gonna die, and that's the end, and might as well cut to the credits. I don't want you guys to get in that mindset. I don't. Like, I remember things my grandpa would try, and he would be building something. He'd have this idea. He'd sketch it out. He used to carry these little notebooks like this big. They were leather on the front. Open it up. He'd carry these little notebooks, right? He'd open them up, and he'd be drawing an idea he got at work because he worked at a steel mill, and he'd be like, figuring it out. And then he'd get home and he'd start working on it. And then we'd get it all put together. And I was a young girl, like following my grandpa around, like, what do you need? What tool you need? Blah, 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 blah. Going into the creepy basement to find something different. And we'd get it all set up, and he would test it out, and it would fail. And my grandpa was the biggest person who taught me failure equals success. Failure equals success. If that's one thing I can ever give you, failure equals success. Because then he would take that thing down and he would start rebuilding something else, and he'd start working on it. And then I'd be like, okay, what are we doing now? And I would just follow him around, and I had little pigtails and red hair, and they were braided like Pippi Longstocking, and I could show you pictures. I was awkward, and I was an ugly little duckling, but it worked. And I would follow him around, and he would start working on something different, and I'd be like, okay. And so I'd start working on it, and then all of a sudden it would fail again. And we'd tear that thing down. And this is before there was an internet. Like, there wasn't like just a way to just print off a way to do it and make it perfect. And we would start again. And then finally there would be success. And I remember one of it was his rain collection. He wanted his rainwater to be filtered out and then have a filtration system all the way through it to once it got to his buckets. And then his buckets were to grow his favorite tomatoes. And that was all he wanted to do, was harvest the rain, because he was convinced the government was putting stuff inside of the water. Turned out to be true. And he wanted the rainwater, and now this is in the early 90s, okay? He wanted the rainwater to water his tomatoes because he felt like they were tasting different. And these are the things that I learned. And so we take these things and we just adapt them into life, right? So the first time you might make a Faraday cage, it may fail. And then you're going to try again, and you're going to try again, and you're going to try again. Yep. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. Yep. That's a great quote. You only fail if you try. I'm going through your guys' comments. The end is near. I love the code of trauma. But we have to think about those things. And we didn't always have all this technology we have now. So why not use those? Use this technology to our advantage. I mean, it could also be our fatality. But let's use it. Let's use it and try to do that. Yep. You miss 100% of the spots you don't take. Yep, the shots. I knew where you were going with it. LaShawn says, just don't use the radios. My husband's been working on it. They just did a huge fill on one of their radios, and they've been testing it out. But I'm not going to show it until I know it works. Because we're always testing something, right? Always testing something to see if it's going to fail or it's going to work. You want to fail at things. You're going to fail at things. But at the end of the day, the lesson of today is if you put that oxygen absorber in salt, you might get clumps, but it's definitely not going to turn into a full brick unless you really use a lot, and probably water too. Yep, the government is not coming to save you. Yep, lesson of the day, the government's not coming to save you. You're only going to save yourself. And if those times happen, you're not going to have the internet to search, oh, what did DQ say? What did she say about doing this? You're just going to want to practice and fail and succeed and fail and succeed. And if you haven't caught my last video, go watch it. Make sure you leave a comment in there because it is empowering to lift other people up. True, true, true. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one.